Lisa here, Front Row Promotions. How are you doing tonight? Tonight we have in the house, however you want to say it, we have Second Chance. Welcome, Second
What's
Chance.
going on, everybody?
All right.
What's going on?
Just want to say my co-host Kandi couldn't make it tonight, but we send her our love, and just wanted to say, we just miss her. So, but welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So tell me about you guys. I always want to know the name of the band. Where did that originate from?
Well, actually, this group of guys started off as another band, and we had a member change, and we all kind of just looked at each other and thought, well, you know what, we need to give this band a second chance. And it was like, okay, the light bulb just went off. Now we got a name.
I like it.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
And that all kind of coincided with the hit of COVID. So
right.
it just seemed like a good chance to sort of start over again.
Got it. Yes. Awesome.
And we kind of use that also as a way to introduce our music too, because
yeah.
Because a lot of the music we're doing is a lot of classic rock and a lot of classic heavy metal. And we wanted to kind of bring that back. It seemed like there wasn't enough of it being out in the clubs and the bars and stuff like that. And we wanted to really, kind of interject that music back into the scene as much as we could, as five guys trying to make some music together. And we thought Second Chance was a fitting name for us, trying to bring that music back into to our lives and to try and get it back into the scene too. Sorry.
I love it. I think it's really cool. I think it's super cool. So my first time seeing you guys was there at the
Stanstock.
Stanstock. I can never remember his name. I can see it in my head, but I get it out. But yeah, Stanstock there at Boston Barrel House. So tell me how that show went. How do you think everything went? And it's good on the counter. Yeah. So tell me about that show.
Oh, I thought it was great.
Yeah. Other than it being so hot, I mean, it was probably one of the hottest shows we've ever done. I mean, it was really hot. Stan Gibson, if you're not familiar with him, he's been doing that festival probably
21 years, I think somebody said.
Yeah,
21 I don't know if it's that long. It might be like 12, but a long time.
He's
Stan is he's a former local musician, and of course he's got an affliction where he's wheelchair bound, but his mind is very sharp, and the love he puts into it, and the extent to what he goes to for his charities, and the local music scene. And one of the things I thought was great was at least a lot of the bands that were on that festival this past year, a lot of them were bands that you don't typically see playing in Falston Barrel House. They had I thought they gave an opportunity to a lot of bands, including us, an opportunity to come in and show what we do and who we are. But it's the second time I've played it. I played it in another band years ago, but we thought it went great. Judging by the reaction of the people there, I thought it went great.
I think it went wonderful as well. I mean, you had a lot of crowd up in the front, and of course, you always will find me in the front row. Yeah. Of course, front row promotions. That's what.
Hey, I can tell you too, in terms of the festival. Back in the 80s, I played quite a few festivals, and they weren't nearly as organized and well run as Stanstock was. That you could always tell weeks beforehand whether or not it's going to be a good show, just based on is it a lot of last minute changes? Is it a bunch of drama? and it was just so well run and so well organized. And like Gary said, it gave a really good cross section this year, of a lot of bands from the area that people wouldn't have normally seen, and it was very well received. It was a great gig, and I lost like 6 pounds. It was great.
Wow. Yeah, from all that heat out there, it was really hot.
So I don't know if you noticed, but Matt looked like he had a bucket of water poured on him. He was drenched by the end of it.
Yeah, it's hard to just stand there and play. And literally by the middle of the first song, every stitch of clothing I had was soaked all the way through. But it was still a great gig. Yeah. But it was great fun. And and we went over really good. Especially, some of like we were saying before, some of the stuff that we're bringing back. The Zeppelin stuff and the heavier stuff from the 70s and all. It really seems to hit a chord with people.
Absolutely. We love that old time rock and roll, and it just brings back a good feeling, and you just love that stuff, because if you don't hear it that much anymore, and it's always a blessing, it's always a wonderful feeling when you do.
Yeah.
I'll
make a comment to that. A lot of bands who do some of the stuff that we do. Well, I'll say it this way. One of the things I think that makes us sort of unique is, we try to play everything we do exactly like the recording. All the solos, all of the music are very, we try to keep it true to, what is on the recording. And, we we use our phrase is, give real rock, second chance, real rock gives for a second chance. And, so we don't do hair metal. We don't do, any of these glammy sort of things. We pick things, like Van Halen and Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple and Alice Cooper and Judas Priest and all of those bands, from the 70s and early 80s that really, in my opinion, they endure. They're going to endure for a long time, and that's where what we try to channel. When we're picking songs and what we do, and so that's kind of really, I guess if you want to call it, the strategic direction for the band. At least at the moment, things always change. We didn't start out exactly that way, but it's kind of morphed into that.
Okay, absolutely. I love it. I love that music, and it's always great to hear it live, and when you're there in the surroundings. And it's always good to hear. A lot of times if you can't make it and you see somebody else's phone and you see the live feed, if you can't make it, that's great. But live shows are where it's at, and hearing what you like, what you grew up on,
right.
And you hear it live, it's just it's a fantastic feeling.
Yeah. And
go ahead, Matt.
Well, I was just going to say, we really as a band appreciate musicianship from that time. And audiences are a little more hip than I think they used to be. If somebody's up there just kind of faking it, people actually notice that.
Right.
And part of the joy that I have for this band is that we're all able to reproduce, the recorded versions of it, and still have a good time. We're not up just there being, like a jukebox. We're actually enjoying pulling it off, with Todd singing, a lot of the stuff that, that's out there that we do. It's not easy. Some of the stuff that we all, every guy in this band has a role, and none of them are easy, but yet you still have to play music that's upbeat and people may want to dance to and go, oh my God, I remember this. God, I can't believe they're playing this song. And that's that's important. Anybody can go out there and kind of wing it or play easier music. And it's something that I think we all really get off on, is playing the harder stuff and having people appreciate it for what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know I appreciate it because that just brings back all those wonderful feelings of when it was out.
I mean, for me, I'm the new guy in the band. I'm the last person that actually joined the group
years ago.
Years ago now. But when I joined, you know, we had a really good cross section of music in the band. We do 2 or maybe 3 songs from a bunch of different bands, but we didn't have like a real focus on one particular thing. Over the last year or so, we made the conscious decision to really focus in on Led Zeppelin because, one, for anybody who hasn't had the pleasure of seeing him play, Matt Harbaugh, the guitar player that you can't see in this video right now, is a Jimmy Page neophyte. He is probably one of the best guitar players I've ever heard at playing the Led Zeppelin stuff the way it's meant to be played. He plays it better than Jimmy Page does. I hate to say that. That sounds kind of sacrilegious.
There you go.
He plays it clean. He plays it right. He gets the tones exactly right. He uses the double neck guitar. He uses the Les Pauls. He has the Dan Electro. He's got all the equipment right. And for me, I grew up as Led Zeppelin's my favorite band. It's been my favorite band for, my whole adult life.
There you go.
When we had the chance to do this, and we sat down and said, hey, we already do like 2 or 3 Zeppelin songs. What do you think about maybe trying to do more? And we had a medley of, I think, 5 songs that we did, like 2 or 3 minutes of like 5 songs. And we bunched them all together and did that. We said, what if we expand that and actually do a full set of Zeppelin stuff? Will it go over? And we put the set together. We practiced it. And the first time we played it, people were losing their minds when we were doing it. They were like, oh, I can't believe you're doing a full set of this stuff. And it's a full, hour and 15 minute long set of Zeppelin stuff. And it's not just the cookie cutter songs that everybody does. We do rock and roll. We do a couple other things like that. But we're doing songs like The Song Remains the Same and The Rain Song and things like that nobody even tries to do because it's hard to do.
Yeah.
And to get it right and to really have the dedication and to put in the time and the rehearsal time it takes to get these things right. A lot of bands aren't going to try because they just don't care that much. But we value this music so much, and we appreciate the fact that people are willing to come out and watch us play it, and they appreciate the effort we put into it. And it's been just a great synergy of our intent and people's willingness to accept it. And it's been one of the best musical experiences of my life playing with these guys doing this stuff. It's really fun.
Let me add a little bit more on that. Todd, none of us in this band are spring chickens, right? And our vocalist Todd Bryan sings this stuff, it hits those notes very, very well. And with Matt as our lead guitarist, kind of to say it again, and Matt will tell you, Jimmy Page was the reason he picked up, got into the guitar. And one of the things that I'm sort of proud of, not to pump his head up even more than it already is, but one of the things I'm immensely proud of is if you come and you see a Second Chance show, and when we do our set, our entire second set is Led Zeppelin, and we play, as an example, we play The Song Remains the Same, but we do not do the album, the studio recording. We actually play the live movie version of this. And so go and familiarize yourself with the movie version of this and all of the soloing that Jimmy Page is doing in that, and come and listen to this band do it. It is exact. It is an exact reproduction of those songs from that album, and
Absolutely.
I've seen a lot of bands who do Led Zeppelin well, Never Never is one of them, and others. But we follow that up with the Rain Song. And I don't know that I've ever seen anybody do the Rain Song.
That's true.
We do In the Evening, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody do In the Evening.
I love that song. Yes.
Yeah, and so we utilize the musicianship in the band. While we don't have a keyboard player, we have the pedals and the various equipment to reproduce it. So as Eric is saying, I really feel like our Led Zeppelin set is sort of the highlight of our show. But
yeah,
that is the style and the feel of everything we play. Everything is real. It's not like I said, we're not going to do gimmicky hair metal bands and things like that. But bands like Whitesnake and Def Leppard, or absolutely, we do them. AC/DC, Todd.
There's not a singer anywhere around here. You draw a circle around Baltimore for 100 miles, and you're not going to find a singer who sounds more like Bon Scott than that guy in the corner of this screen right now. He nails. And I've said this before at a gig, and there's a conspiracy theory that I'm going to put out there, but there's never been a picture of Todd Bryan and Bon Scott at the same place at the same time. Everybody says Bon Scott died in 1980. I'm here to say I don't think so. I think he just moved to Baltimore. So I mean, that's just me. but he nails that stuff, and he nails so much of this. I mean, every time for me coming in as a bass player and I sing backup vocals, and I'm like, he sounds so good doing so much of this music. And it's like to have a vocals for that kind of range and that kind of ability is fantastic. And it's spread throughout the band too. Our drummer, Gary Hodnout's not in the video tonight. And he is another guy too. He's an incredible musician, and he really provides that necessary backbeat that allows the rest of us to kind of do what we do. And
every drum fill, everything he plays is exactly like what you hear on the recordings. Everything.
And we've had songs from Rush and Iron Maiden in our set list before, and he pulls off every click, every cymbal hit, every drum fill. He nails them all. He's a fantastic musician, and and like I say, he just got back from overseas, so he's probably jet lagged, which is why it's not with us tonight. But
that's okay, understandable.
But it's, for me, like I said, being the new guy, it's been a real treat to get to know these guys and to play with them, and the fact that they're not all jerks with big egos and stuff like that, it has made it even more fun.
Yes, absolutely.
I think I might even tolerate some big egos just because of the way we play music together. But luckily, we don't have that going on. But it's a really good time, and we all put in a lot of work and a lot of effort to get the performances the way we think they should be to go out. And we've got some gigs coming up that we're really looking forward to kind of close out this year, and we can talk about those. We've got Emerald Tavern.
Okay.
Next week.
Oh, so, okay.
It was kind of a Hey You gig for us. Mm-hmm. And we weren't really expecting to have too much more for the end of the year. And then they gave us the opportunity to come out and play. So we're going to do that. So all the folks down there in Parkville and stuff like that, come on down to the Emerald Tavern and pack that place. It's going to be a good time. It's going to be loud.
There you go. Awesome.
Yeah. Have you been there, Lisa?
I've been there once or twice for a couple other bands. I think Radio Monkey, I saw a few other bands there. But yes, that's right there on Harford Road, right?
Yep.
And Emerald and Harford Road and Emerald Street.
And Emerald Street. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. And what night you playing there? It's coming is it this weekend you said?
No, next Friday.
Next Friday. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Going to have to get out there and see you again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Lisa, it would be good if you could see the entire show, because the set that we played at Standstock was just one set, and it was kind of a combination of the three sets that we do.
Okay.
But we would all love to have you there for an evening just to see the entire show, because
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you'll pick up pretty quickly that all of the stuff that we play is really guitar centric music. And that's, let's face it, the 60s, 70s and some of the 80s was really loaded with incredible music, incredible guitar players, and
definitely,
great
yes,
singers, and everybody was just really good at what they did, and it's just so much fun, and I really like the atmosphere and the culture of the local scene in Baltimore was
yes.
always very competitive, and every band sucked except the one you were in, and it was always, if you weren't playing well, you stood in the back of the bar with your arms folded, looking, down your nose at everybody else. And now the whole culture seems to be, everybody's really supportive of all the other bands. And not just on social media so you look good in front of the public. People are genuinely supportive of other bands, and
I like that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I can tell you the 80s was, it was just a horrible time where everybody was just beating up on everybody else. It was like, guys, we're all doing the same thing.
Same thing, right?
Yeah,
a competition.
But the ego on a 20-year-old versus the ego on however old we are now.
We can say 60.
I was going to say 40, but okay.
It's I've got guitars that are older than 40 years old at this point, but it's just good to see that culture shift happened, and it's much more enjoyable when you run into guys from other bands, and it's not a I'm going to puff out my chest and act like a horse's ass. So it's a much better music scene. And the only shame of it is there aren't nearly the clubs and the places to play that were big, like the old, the Seagull Inn and the Sandbar and Coast to Coast and Hammerjacks.
Yeah.
Playing there was, that was like the highlight back in the day. And, you always looked forward to playing there because there was, 1,200 people there.
Exactly.
You got to act like a little mini rock star for, a few nights, but that scene around Baltimore was always so good because of all the clubs, and now it's really just downgraded in size,
right,
and the amount of places that you can play. So, but it's still a very viable scene here. So it's a lot of fun, and we love playing live.
Exactly, and that's the best. That's the best that you can do. When you hear it live, it's like you almost it just it takes you back. It takes you back to all that good feelings.
Yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
Yep.
So we have some things on the board, and I want to give attention to who's chiming in. Susan Burton, and that is my co-host's mom. So she's saying hello to everybody. Hi, Susan.
Hey, Susan.
And then a lot of the Facebook users, I forgot to mention in the beginning, let us know who you are so we can know what's your comment. Someone said, hello there, everyone.
Hello.
Right back at you.
Hello. And then we have someone asked, any special genre are you focused in?
Well, for us, it's basically, we'd say hard rock, but we dabble in some bluesy rock and I guess some early metal stuff. But it's, if you're going to use two words, hard rock is probably the way to describe us, because we've done everything from the Zeppelin to Van Halen, that we do the Priest and Ozzy and stuff like that. So we've got a pretty big repertoire when it comes to the bands that we choose to cover, but it's all in a hard rock vein. So.
I like it. And I think this was the same question, was basically was it heavy metal, hard rock, etc. Yes. Okay. Yes. And then someone said thank you. Probably in the course of our talking, their answer was, the question was answered. All right.
Awesome.
Okay, back to you guys.
Yeah, so I know you can't see Matt, so I'm going to embarrass him just a little bit.
Okay.
But if Matt Matt is almost a doppelganger of Eddie Van Halen.
Oh boy.
He looks like Eddie Van Halen when he was young. He looks like Eddie Van Halen when Eddie was, older. And he plays, like I said, Matt, we're fortunate to have a lead guitarist as good as he is. I mean, he plays all of the Randy Rhoads stuff, the Van Halen stuff. Whatever Matt plays from a lead guitar wise, he is dead accurate to what he is playing. He's a very detailed oriented person. He has taught me a lot. I will simply tell you, when I first came into the band, this was back in 2017, and I walked into this audition, and I'm setting my stuff up, and Matt is over there playing. I just sort of just stopped what I was doing and just said, "Hey, I don't think this is for me, since I don't really play like that." Matt, though, was very welcoming, tried to set me at ease and said, "Hey, look, your role, what I need from you is, rhythm guitar, and I need you to, perform those solos with me where I need harmonies." I do a few solos in songs where the song may require Matt to be in a different tuning, or he's got to do slide work or something like that. But what I'm really just trying to get across is how good everybody really is in the band as far as the musicianship and all of that. So, but he looks just like Eddie Van Halen.
Awesome.
To that end.
Hear that, ladies? You got to get out there and see Matt. See what he looks
just
like.
got married. He just got married.
Yeah, I am married.
Okay, hands off.
But to Gary's point, though, it's not only the fact that he plays all these solos note for note, but both these guys are really focused on making sure that the instruments sound right. It's not like they're going out there with the amp turned all the way up to 10 and just everything super distorted and everything like that. There's a lot of bands that do that, and you can't even tell half the time what song they're playing because the guitar just sounds like a big distorted mess. These guys both focus on getting the sounds right. When we're playing an Aerosmith song, you can tell there's two different guitars because they're two different sounds, and they don't sound like clones of each other. They really focus on trying to capture what the guitar players in the original band did.
Right.
And for anybody who hasn't seen us play yet, like one of our showpiece tunes is Highway Star from Deep Purple.
Oh, I
and
love
these
that
guys,
song.
These guys get out there and just tear it up. And the solo in the song is keys and guitar, playing this crazy solo on top of one another.
Yeah.
But these guys both step out front and just crush this solo. And I shimmy to the back and I just stand by the drummer. And I got to sit back here and just listen to this. And it's so much fun to listen to.
Aww.
And I just make sure I don't, screw it up, basically. I stand back there and wait. And it's such a fun time. And there's a bunch of songs that, we've done that have the dual guitar parts. And it's just, for me as a bass player, to just sit back and let these guys do what they do. It's awesome. I mean,
yes, I love
that.
that.
People will come out to see guys play lead guitar, and as a bass player, I can play some stuff, but nobody's going to come out and watch me solo on a bass. So I just kind of hang back and chill and let these guys do their thing. We got a couple of songs where I get to flex a little bit and do some stuff, but that's not what people are coming out to clubs and seeing for bands. They're going to come out. They want to hear a vocalist that's got the pipes that Todd Bryan's got, and they want to see the guitar players like Gary and Matt do their thing, and let the rhythm section just kind of provide the foundation for these guys to do their stuff.
It's a team at the end of the day. Yeah. And we've been together, like I said, since 2017. I think Eric came in 2019. So we've been around a while. These guys, we are basically family to each other. I guess what I would say is, to me at least, it is all about the song. And so to make the song right, if it means, hey, I got to take and do something that isn't, I'm not the flashy one, or I'm not the one, that's got the main part. That's okay, because at the end of the day, it's really about what the band is able to do
all together. That whole sound. Yes,
right. Exactly. And so, that's one of the strengths, I think, with this band that I enjoy so much, is that it's teamwork, and there's humility, and there's we work together. Yeah,
there is respect.
There's respect. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to kind of add on to what you're saying, Gary. All too often people get into bands and they're so hyper focused on themselves, when really a good musician is somebody who listens to the other people playing in the room. That's why you're really there. Music is expressive, but when you're playing with other people, it's how can we, all of us, make one sound, so it's like, what the bass player's doing, what both guitars are doing, what the drums are doing, it all needs to be woven together, and you don't get that without a whole lot of work going into it and spending time with those same people in that same room, kind of putting it together and seeing what comes out of it. And that's why this is so much fun. There's really no star of the band. It's 5 guys together making one sound, and that's really the fun of it. And let's face it, if you're on stage and you're having fun, people will pick up on that. If you're on stage just being a show off, that gets boring in about 5 minutes. It's people want to see the end result, the end product, and the people creating it having a good time, and you'll get that back. So
absolutely, they give it that energy, and they feel the energy. They feed off the energy that's in the audience.
Yep.
And then, and you both give each other energy, and that makes a good show.
100%.
Awesome. So, what was your first concert when you were a teenager?
Rush, UFO, and Cheap Trick.
Awesome.
Same.
Yep. And I think within the same 6 months, I saw Van Halen open for Ozzy Osbourne at the Civic Center.
Baltimore Civic Center at that,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. You got it. Yep.
Oh my Lord. Woo.
Can I start with my second concert? My second concert was Kiss in '78. But
Sullivan 78.
My first concert was a Charlie Daniels band in '78. I got free tickets to go with a buddy of mine whose dad was a country music fan. It was a great show. There are actually incredible musicians in that band, but it wasn't really my bag at the time. I was much more of a Kiss guy. So my second show,
which
was my first one.
Hey, Todd, what did you say?
Is it the same show?
I said I seen the same show as Matt did, Rush, UFO, and Cheap Trick. It was like a mini concert at the cinema.
So I'm going to say this. I would consider myself, and any of you guys can chime in to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably the goofiest one when it comes to music. I like a lot of stuff. My very first concert as a teenager was Rick Springfield, and it was great.
Awesome.
my second concert was Def Leppard on the Pyromania tour with Crocus was opening for them.
Yep.
Hell yeah! I think I was there. I think I've seen that one.
Yep, that was, and the only reason I went to see Rick Springfield, I remember. I had tickets first to go see Def Leppard, and they had an issue. They had to delay the concert for some reason, and then Rick Springfield popped up, and I liked Rick Springfield. I listened to that when I had the cassette tape.
Yes.
And I was probably in 10th or 11th grade, and I went and saw him.
And I'm sure the place wasn't full of a lot of girls too, right?
Oh, it's full of girls.
Yeah,
Of
It was
course.
full of girls.
yeah.
Right.
Oh.
It was, and I don't know if you haven't seen Rick Springfield's in his 70s, and I just saw a picture of him recently. He looks great.
He does. I saw it
He
too.
looks great.
Yeah. He looks like he hasn't aged. I mean, he's really, really sharp looking.
Yep. So Eric, by the way, he's got an interesting story. Tell them about Eric has actually played Madison Square Garden. So tell them this.
Oh,
this
I want to
story.
hear. I want to hear. Let's hear a story.
Yeah, back in I don't know if I could do the Cliff Notes version of this, but back in the late '80s, I was in a band. I grew up in Pennsylvania and played in the scene up there. And the band was called Courageous Cat. We were all original. And we were out doing, regional shows and stuff like that. We were playing in around Philly. We'd go up to New York and stuff like that. And we had a manager who was trying to get us more gigs. And he was sitting in a bar one night while we were playing. He left the gig to go someplace quieter, I guess, to get a drink. And he was sitting at the bar and wound up sitting next to a manager of Billy Squire. And Billy Squire was grousing about the fact that I guess they had issues with one of the bands that was opening up for him on the tour, and they were looking for a replacement band. And our manager was like, well, I got a band. And he said, you got any music? And he handed him a cassette, which is what we had at the time.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was a 10-song cassette. And they went out to a car, they listened to it. And he said, I'll give you a call. We'll see if we can set something up. And we wound up doing 13 dates with Billy Squire on an East Coast swing of his tour back then. And he was still a superstar. He was kind of going
Billy
through.
Squire. I was head over heels for him.
Oh, he was going through that period in time on MTV where he had that one stupid video that kind of
the towel snapping.
Yeah, kind of torpedoed his popularity a little bit with some people. But he was an incredible musician, and his band was totally awesome. Great guys, musicians, and stuff like that. And we played a 13 stop tour with them, and we hit all the big stuff on the East Coast. And the best thing for me personally was we got to not only play Philadelphia Spectrum, which was a great place, but we also went to my hometown. We played at the college, which was like a 4,000 seat arena, and we got to come out to basically 4,000 people who weren't expecting us to be there.
Wow.
We didn't get a whole lot of press release or anything like that, so a lot of people didn't even know we were playing.
Right.
But when people who were in our hometown got to come out and say, hey, those guys look familiar, and all of a sudden we're out there playing in front of our own hometown. And the places weren't full when we were playing. Obviously people were still trickling in and stuff like that, but it was a great experience. Ultimately, it led to the breakup of the band because some egos got involved, and some people had different aspirations, I guess. But it was a great time, and look back on it fondly. And it's one of those things you can say I was able to play on some of the biggest stages, even if I was only 3 feet from the front of the stage, because all of their equipment was in the back, and then all of our equipment was in front of theirs, and I only had a couple of feet between me and the barricades and stuff like that. But it was pretty wild to at least get out there. And if we were playing to a couple thousand people in Madison Square Garden, it was still Madison Square Garden. We got to look up and see the lights and see all the other fun stuff.
You still were there. That's amazing. Yeah.
So I look back on that fondly. It was a really cool time. So
you're like, oh.
Oh yeah. And been trying to claw back ever since. But it is what it is, But I do know that if we would have maintained that level of success for a long period of time, like a lot of other people, who knows, we might not even be around to talk about it at this point. So it's maybe not a bad thing, But,
that is true. So what is next? You said that the next Friday you have.
We're at the Emerald Tavern in Parkville, and like you said, it's right on was it Bel Air Road down there, or
no, Harford Road.
Harford Road.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then we've got a private show coming up in November.
And hopefully we can play.
Yeah, it's outdoors, so we'll see.
So that's a good segue into we well, I think most bands are always available to play private gigs, and we basically were reached out to for a basically it's a surprise party for somebody who's turning 60 years old, and they're really into music, and so we're doing that. And then we're back at Emerald Tavern in December, and Emerald Tavern is our first time there.
Oh, okay.
And then in January, we're at the New Phillips Inn in Dundalk.
Oh, yes, we go there a lot. Okay,
yep.
Awesome.
And that is a debut for us. And then I can't remember what we have after that, but it's been difficult to we've been doing this for many years, and I will just say before the pandemic, the band we played Sylvester's, we played 510 Johnny's, we played the Stables in Westminster. We played a number of places, and ever since the pandemic, it's been really, really difficult to get back in. I think there's a lot of reasons why that is. But we're trying to break through it, and so we're really appreciative of some of these dates coming up. Mm-hmm. And I think the whole pandemic and the lockdowns and the people not going out, I can tell you from our perspective, we weren't necessarily chomping to go out there and catch that stuff. And there's a lot of bands that are out there that do this for a living.
Yes.
I can think of Dennis Shockett as one. There's a few other
Spike.
Yeah. And so, those guys, we did not, it was like, we didn't want to get in the way of that. You know what I'm saying? It was like, these guys do this for a living. We all, up until I retired a few years ago, all have day jobs. But it's been a bit of a struggle to get back out there. I will say, at least from my perspective, the music that we do is not necessarily at the top of every 20-year-old or 30-year-old's list to go here, right? I mean, their music has changed into something different.
Disposable.
It's and I know we were talking about this earlier. The 70s and the 80s, the musicianship of bands it was incredible, right? I mean, George Lynch and Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads and Jake E. Lee and all of those guys. I mean, blistering type of guitarists, and all of that sort of went away in the 90s and onward, right? I mean, you don't hear Guitar Heroes much anymore, at least not to the level it was in the 80s. So, it's not like you're never going to see us at Looney's, right? I mean, those guys, Looney's has a certain clientele that they cater to. So, we are a rock band. We are a hard rock band that does 70s and 80s, and we do it extremely, extremely well. And I'll tell you, we're just aching to get into some of these places and, show them what we got. Exactly. I mean, with Stanstock, it was an opportunity to really get out there and go, and I'll tell you, a lot of times I'll have people come up to me, maybe some of the others, when they hear us, they're just floored. They're absolutely floored, and they're like, "Oh my God, where are you guys, playing?
Why aren't you playing?
Or why aren't you playing?
Where have you been? Yes.
Right.
Right.
And I can tell you, and all I'll simply say is this, we have a full electronic press package, full pictures, videos, recordings, and any and every place that you could possibly think of in this area, in Pennsylvania, in Virginia, all have been given that EPK multiple times since 2019. And, they're not, for whatever reason, they're not calling. And so, it's one of those, if you want us in those places, let your bartender know, or talk to the manager and say, hey, bring this band in, because, we'd love to get in there, but it's just been difficult. And I really think that it's probably more than anything, just a recovery, a slow, the COVID pandemic has just affected so much.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, everybody likes to gripe about, whether it's inflation or supply or demand, all of this is a result of a year of being, shut down, and we're still digging out of it. And I can tell you, we'll keep trying. Trust me, we're not going to give up or go away anytime soon. But
no, I wouldn't go away either. Yeah, just keep going. Yes.
Yep. We'll keep at it.
Yeah, we've got quite a few dates now on the books for 24. Yeah, and we're starting to see, the hard work's paying off now, and awesome. we've had some venues that have been really supportive of us. Can't say enough about Mike Brewer.
Brewer's Landing.
They've been so good to us, and it's a crowd of people that really enjoys the music that we do. And from that, people have spread the word a little bit, and it's kind of led to more gigs and more doors opening up for us.
That's amazing.
And we're using that momentum to kind of push forward, because, like Gary said, during COVID, during the lockdown, a lot of places just stopped doing entertainment altogether.
Right.
So that whole year worth of bookings, they just moved forward to the next year. And bands like us that were trying to break into the scene, all of a sudden you had a whole year that was booked up, and you couldn't get in unless it was a cancellation or something like that. So when we were able to get into Brewer's Landing for the first time, and the first couple of times, they loved us, and they were like, "God, we want to have you back." And it's kind of become like a home base of operations for us. And it's nice because we all live relatively close to it, and it's easy for us to go down there and do our thing. And it's led to more gigs. And like Stanstock was a great opportunity for us because, like Matt and Gary said, it was a place where a lot of different bands with a lot of different genres were able to get together and kind of showcase what we do for a great cause. Mm-hmm. But it was also, for us, it was a little self-serving because it did put us out there in front of people that weren't necessarily hard rock and heavy metal fans. And when we looked out during our set, all of a sudden we was like, there weren't many people inside anymore. They were all coming outside to see us on the outside stage.
There you go.
And we're thinking, we must be doing something right. If we're getting people that aren't necessarily like dyed-in-the-wool fans of this music, but they're still coming out because they're hearing something that they heard on the radio or they saw on MTV. Like, those guys are doing it the way I remember hearing it.
Exactly.
And it's kind of led to some more opportunities for us. And Gary's been our champion. I guess he's really been beating the drum for us, trying to get out there to get these clubs to open their doors for us to have a chance to come in and play. And it's finally starting to pay off now. And once you have played one place that people associate with good music, and they say, "Oh, you played there," that means, well, okay, we'll let you play here. And then that's a domino effect. And now the dominoes are finally starting to fall in our direction.
There you go.
What are you doing a bunch of shit?
It's my glasses. I'm not at the table. But and we're really thankful for that, and the work is paying off. And again, we're starting to see bookings in a lot of the places, a lot of the beach bars and stuff like that are opening up to us, and we've got some real good opportunities coming up in 2024.
Awesome.
And hopefully more bookings to come. I don't know, we've got maybe a dozen bookings right now throughout the year, something like that.
Not as many as I would like, but it's definitely it's definitely getting better. You know, we're self-booked essentially, and you know, when you're trying to do this yourself, you know, it takes persistence and tenacity, and just, you know, I don't badger people. You know what I mean? I make sure that, you know, I will send them the information, and then I just usually remind them that, hey, we're still here. We're still looking for bookings, you know, every few months or so.
Right. Just a little knock reminder, like, hey, I'm still here. If you,
but the reality really is that, you know, most bars will tend to be booked up for the following year in the summer of the year that you're in. Right. Yeah. So, but it's sometimes, you know, somebody gets sick or something like that and they can't do it. And, you know, there's an opportunity there for us to go in and play. But for sure, I mean, you know, we're not fooling, let's put it this way. We're not fooling ourselves that we're going to be, you know, a next Doc Martin and the Flannels sort of thing. You know, that group there is, you know, dedicated to a reproduction of the grunge period.
Right.
Right. And so that's what they do. We are again true to the real rock that came out in the 70s and the 80s, that is performed with a high degree of musicianship, without gimmicks to it. Right. And that is really what Second Chance is really all about.
Absolutely.
Guitar driven rock.
Yep.
So I'm sure there's probably people who have venues, have bars, who watch your podcasts and your broadcasts. Reach out to us. You know, you can find us on Facebook, Second Chance Band, and you know, reach out, send us an email. If you want a copy of our promotional packet, we can send that to you. If there's any people out there that want a hard rock band for a private function, we are more than happy to try and accommodate you as best we can. And you know, we hope that a lot of people who may not have known about us before, who are just finding out about us tonight or through some of our more recent gigs, you know, have a chance to come out and see us in the near future. And hopefully you'll like what we do, and you can, you know, join the growing numbers that are following us on our social media platforms. You know, we're out there and we're seeing the numbers come up, and it's really good. We've had a few real diehard fans who've kind of been our champions and stuff like that have, you know, they come out and they live stream our gigs and stuff, and you see, you know, lots and lots of hits on those. And it's been really cool to see that happen. So
absolutely.
So the more the merrier.
Yes.
There's always room at the table for more people. So come on out and
absolutely
get some good rock and roll.
You got it. So we're winding down to the hour mark. So I just want to let you know we're getting there. So plug your socials if you must. Where can people find you?
So you can find, we do not have a website, but you can find us on Facebook at Second Chance Maryland Band Live.
Okay.
And follow us there. I will tell you that I am always making sure that our Facebook page is up to date. We do not trouble people with, you know, stuff that isn't relevant to, you know, the music and what we're doing. You know, so when we put posts out, you know, we have something we want to talk about, or we have something we want to put out there. Exactly. And right. So, you know, I've seen this function here recently where they've added this thing where, you know, you can do, you can type in at all followers and it pops up. I'm now getting to a point where when I see that, I just like swipe it off, because it's like, I will eventually see your post, you know, when it's put up there. But so anyway, we don't want to trouble people with things that are, you know,
irrelevant.
Irrelevant. Exactly. So, but, you know, with the shows that we do have coming up, it gives us an opportunity. We usually put our gigs out about a month in advance to allow people to put it on their calendar,
Make some plans,
and then we'll remind you at the 2-week mark, the 1-week mark, and the day of the gig. And that's kind of how I've approached the marketing aspect of this. So that's where you can follow us.
Awesome.
And I'd just like to add that the Emerald gig, that bar has been in that neighborhood since I think the late 60s. That bar has been there forever.
Wow.
And that's the neighborhood that I grew up in. So I have been told by a whole lot of people that I grew up with and went to high school with that they're going to be there. So, it's probably going to be a warm night inside the Emerald Tavern.
Let's pack the house.
Yeah,
exactly.
There we go.
Because we are going to blow the roof off that place. We are going to blow the roof off.
Absolutely.
All right. So not this Friday, but next Friday at the Emerald Tavern. Yep. All right.
Yep.
We'll make plans and we'll come out and see you guys.
8 o'clock start.
8 o'clock you start? Okay.
Yep.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Well, this is about all I have. So it is about the 1 hour mark. And I gotta tend to my doggy. A little bit of issues
Lisa,
there. Yes.
Thank you so much, not just for having us on, but for doing this. I will simply say, since you and I became friends on Facebook, I've seen what you do and the things that you do to support all of the local bands and all of the local music and the venues that support live music. It's great. And, even if we're not playing in those places, it's important that they be supported
as well,
and support the bands that do play in there. At the end of the day, all of the musicians, I guarantee you, or if all of them, we all know each other, at least on some sort of level.
Yes.
And, it's good to see. I guess I would say it like that. And, so it's good. Thank you for doing this. And thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
You're welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here on Front Row Promotions. I enjoyed my time here with you guys and getting to know you a little bit better. And as far as we go, and the more you grow and the more you get out there in different venues, then I'll have you back. You are more than welcome to come back anytime and post whatever you have on my page.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Awesome.
You're welcome. Absolutely.
All right.
So I will call it a night, and thank you again for coming to Front Row Promotions.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Bye now.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.